Hello, Professor Hyman here, IBUS 620, Research Methods in International Business and Markets, and today we're going to talk about writing good survey questions. This is a core topic for this course. There's some evaluation on whether you write good or bad survey questions. This stuff is kind of in the tests too, but there's also a written assignment associated with this topic. So you need to be on top of this, and it's a good skill. It's a serious skill. People get hired for having this ability, so it's also a good thing to put on your resume that you have some comfort level with it. We're going to start by going over the agenda over here, as usual, in the top left corner of my board. And the topic, survey questions, which is abbreviated Q or Qs for multiple questions. So we're going to cover basic questions, which includes two types of questions, and then Likert scale, pronounced Likert, but spelled Likert, but it's pronounced Likert, like that spelling, although the spelling is just with the K. Okay, and that's really the whole topic, the whole agenda. But let's start with the basic questions, kind of zoom down here to topic number 2, basic questions. Okay, so basic questions are questions that can be broken into two types. You got background questions and you got yes/no questions. Pretty simple. Let's talk about background questions first. They're kind of diverse and it's kind of an engaging topic. So here's a good one. Your name. What is your name? Or please write your full name. This is on the types of surveys that we're talking about in this class. This is optional, and you need to indicate this. A lot of times you don't even ask for somebody's name on a survey, except at the end, if you've decided as the researcher that you could usefully offer the respondents a copy of the results after they've completed the survey, you can ask for their name, but make sure that you indicate clearly that the name is optional. The vast majority of surveys are anonymous and not connected with a person's name. Okay, and here's another one, age. Now that one is more frequently asked, and this is under the category of sensitive questions. If you ask somebody to please indicate your age, and then you have to write down 54, many people are hesitant to give their exact age, and I've talked about this in the ethics in survey making video also. But let's go over it here. Turns out people are less reluctant to express their age if the question doesn't seem as intimidating and demanding. So the way we decrease the intimidation factor is we give people a range of ages, and this is almost as effective as giving somebody's age. So we use intervals. So age 18 to 30, 31 to 45. Notice that it ends in 30 at this category and starts at 31. You don't say 18 to 30 and then 30 to 45 because 30 appeared in both boxes. That's no good. 46 to 60 and then over 60. Now, the blue numbers are how you would code the question in your spreadsheet. So somebody might check 31 to 45 and you would put in your spreadsheet you would generate a 2 there. So notice that 1, 2, 3, 4, as you go up in age, the coding values go up, which is exactly what you want. So this is a good way to get age information that's very useful. Similarly, the same thing is true for income. Let's look at income per year. Less than 30,000, 30,001 to 60,000, 60,001 to 100,000, and over 100,000. You could code those 1 for less than 30,000, 2 for the next category up, 30,001 to 60,000, and then 3 for the next category up, and for the highest category, you could code that 4. Number of years at the current firm, that would be just a fill-in. You put in 8 or whatever. Be careful how you word this, because that's a different question than number of years in your present position. So if this was worded number of years in your present job, that could be, people could see that as the same question as number of years at the current firm. So just changing that to years in present position. So maybe you've been at the firm for 8 years, but you've been in your present position for only 2 years. That's what you want to get out of that. So this is just a point to make about using precise wording. Ask for the right stuff. Okay, so that's the background questions. Let's jump to yes/no questions, a real quick one here. Here's a good yes/no question. Are you satisfied with the level of your firm's international sales for 2018? Yes, no. The coding for that would be 0 for yes and 1 for no, because no would be kind of the exceptional answer. That's the question that you want, that's the answer you want to stand out. So when you want the exceptional answer to stand out, you make that a 1. And then that's it for yes/no questions. So we're going to jump to the main topic, which is Likert scale questions. And here's an example of a good Likert scale question, and then I'll explain why these are good and some issues and properties of Likert scales. So I greatly enjoy eating Japanese mochi ice cream. Strongly disagree, disagree, no opinion, agree, strongly agree. You could code that in order of increasing agreement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pretty straightforward. We would call this a positively worded statement because as enjoyment goes up, the number goes up. The value of this coding, the number that goes in the spreadsheet goes up. So if somebody checks the agree box, that would code as a 4 on the spreadsheet. All right. Here's another question. Japanese mochi ice cream does not taste good to me. And I want you to note the emphasis to add clarity because this is a negatively worded item. I've underlined the word not so people don't mistake it for ice cream does taste good to me. You got the not emphasized, okay? And now we've got again the 5 categories of agreement: strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. And how would we code that? The answer is, since this is negatively worded, we would reverse the coding. So strongly disagree would be a 4, disagree would be a 3, neutral would be a 2, actually, and then agree would be a 1, and strongly agree could be a 0. Or it could be either way. It could be let's be consistent here. Although it's not bad to have 0 as the base condition. We'll be consistent with the question above it, and we'll call strongly disagree 5, agree will be 4, and 3 will be neutral, and 2 will be agree, and 1 will be strongly agree. And now it's compatible. The 2 questions are coded very similarly. And so the idea here is that if you're trying to measure, use 2 different items to measure how much people like mochi ice cream, then if they don't like it, you want to score strongly disagree high because that indicates that's the same thing as liking it a lot, which we're coding high, coding it with a 5 here, right? So if you disagree with not liking mochi ice cream, it gets the same code. If you strongly disagree with not liking mochi ice cream, it gets the same code as people who greatly enjoy, strongly agree with the idea that they greatly enjoy mochi ice cream. And we use positively worded and negatively worded items to indicate that we're being thorough in our examination. You don't want somebody just checking strongly agree with all the boxes. And this type of question setup where some of the questions are negatively worded, maybe not all of them, certainly not all of them, maybe not even half of them, but a few of them are negatively worded, that can help you detect respondents who are messing around. Maybe they're in a hurry and they just said, I'll just check strongly agree with these last 10 questions. You can detect that using this technique because it would not be consistent to check that you strongly agree with eating the joy of eating ice cream and you strongly agree with how bad it tastes. That would be a red flag, and you might eliminate that respondent from your analysis. Now, item 6, properties and issues of Likert scales. First, we want to talk about the fact that what we're measuring is essentially an ordinal quantity. In other words, the responses for these agree-disagree scales are ordered, but they are not spaced evenly apart. The difference between strongly agree and agree is different than the distance between agree or no opinion, or at least the distance is unknown between there. The cool thing is that for regression, we can assume that the responses reflect underlying interval or ratio data. So although we're grabbing data in an ordinal manner, we're legitimately assuming that there's an underlying continuous scale that we're getting a grip on. We're measuring, even if we're measuring it roughly, by using ordinal data. So that's really great. It means that this type of data is highly suitable for use in regression analysis. Let's next talk about the neutral response. In this case, jumping back up to item 5, the neutral response in my positively worded item was no opinion, and for my negatively worded item, it was neutral. Those are two different neutral responses that you can give. The interesting thing about neutral is that if somebody genuinely has no opinion about an item, I think it's best to have that choice in there. Some experimenters want to force you to have an opinion. The Myers-Briggs test is a good example of that. I'm not a big fan of Myers-Briggs, partly for that reason. But the point is that I think it's better to have neutral than to not have neutral, because people have legitimately neutral opinions sometimes, and you don't want to force them to agree or disagree because they may not agree or disagree. Okay, so in addition to this, if you have neutral, you don't want people who don't know or to whom the question is not applicable to pick the neutral choice, because that's just the wrong choice. What you might need then, and I'm going to go over here now, is another box that says NA for not applicable or don't know. And usually you separate that one in distance a bit from your regular scale so people don't think that that's something that's on this scale. It's like a non-answer. And in your spreadsheet you don't count that as a 0, you just leave it blank and it becomes missing data. And it's treated like missing data by your software. Okay, so now negatively worded items, I talked about that a little bit. The phrasing is important, emphasizing the negative is important, and then the coding, the reversal of the coding. That's very important. Now, finally, somewhat extreme wording is good. That's kind of a surprise, but it sort of makes sense if you think about it. If you just say something like, I think mochi ice cream tastes okay, you're not going to get a lot of people who are going to strongly agree with that or strongly disagree with that. So you want to promote you want to give people something that they can agree or disagree with, and so make the wording somewhat more extreme. And that's what we've done up here on item 5. I greatly enjoy eating ice cream. You could say, I love eating ice cream. And then down here, it does not taste good to me. You could even make that a little more extreme and say, it tastes rather bad to me. Something like that. But you want to have some degree of extremeness in the choice so that you can give people something to get their teeth into. They can really disagree with it or really agree with it. Okay, just saying something like, I think Japanese mochi ice cream tastes okay, is not worded extremely enough. It won't evoke the types of genuine responses that you're looking for. So extreme wording. And those are the properties and issues of Likert scales. I hope this has been useful for you. You have a deliverable later in the semester, maybe coming up pretty soon, that is related to writing good survey questions, especially Likert scale questions. So this video should be helpful. That's it for now. Thanks a lot. I've enjoyed talking to you. See you in the next video. Bye.